Last year was a tough year in a lot of ways, especially the first half to three-quarters of the season. I mean, we just couldn't quite get it going. If it seemed like if something was going to go wrong, it went wrong. Instead of winning those games 3-2, we were finding ways to lose games 3-2. It was just so close. But the last 36 games, we went 20 wins, 11 losses, and 5 ties. We're probably the second or third best team in the last 36 games of the NHL. We fell a little bit short. That also coincided with having Steve Sullivan back in our lineup. And that little bit of difference of that offense that we were missing was certainly made up by Sully, and we saw what the difference could be. And I think with Sully back and the fact that our captain Jason Arnott actually got hurt for the last month and came back the last 5 games, if we could have had Sully all year long, and obviously if Arnie wasn't hurt, I think we're going to be a playoff team. So we're in the toughest division in the National Hockey League now. A lot of people kind of made fun, if you would, of our division a few years back. It was always Detroit and nobody else, then it became Detroit and Nashville. Now it's Detroit, Nashville, Columbus, St. Louis, Chicago. They're all good. And as Ed was saying, the schedule is it's very fan-friendly in that there's 15 games on Saturdays. I think we got some really good dates for our fans. But for players, this is going to be a challenge this year. The Olympic year, it's going to be a condensed schedule. We start 11 of our first 17 games on the road, which is a little bit of a challenge. And coming out of the Olympics, we play 17 games in the month of March, and that's going to be tough duty for all of us. So stay rested, guys.
I should add one thing. Folks, this will be David Poile's first season as a grandfather. Congratulations, David.
Now you're talking about the important things in life.
There we go.
Ellie Madeline was born on June 28th. Pretty cool. If anybody wants to see pictures, I got them after. Okay, moving along. 09-10, the outlook. We're going to be good next year, and here's the reasons why we're going to be good. Go by position. Pecoreni, Dan Ellison, goal. I think we've got as good a goaltending as anybody in the National Hockey League. Number 2, on defense, we have the big 3, Hamhuis, Suter, and Weber. I believe that's probably, in my mind, as good a young defense core of 3 guys that anybody has in the National Hockey League. We're going to complement that with, as I said earlier, with some of our younger players in our drafting. It's now time for Kevin Klein, Salser, a player like Cody Franson that we've been grooming down in Milwaukee to step up to the plate. I really think we'll be fine on defense. This could be, if all these guys play, this might be the first time, I think, in NHL history, and I'll have our PR department, or Pete Weber probably already knows the answer, all our defensemen are going to be draft choices, which I don't know if that's ever been done before in the National Hockey League, but I think we're going to be good on defense, both offensively and defensively. On the forwards, we're going to be much improved. And the reason for that is we're going to have our first line intact for the whole season. That's JP, Sully, and Arnie, something that we didn't have last year. I mean, we were certainly, as I said earlier, we're missing some offense with Sully out. And when these guys were together, which we saw, I mean, they produced every game. And I'm very confident, as I'm sure they're confident, that if everybody stays healthy, so let's everybody have a knock on wood, that we'll be just fine in that department. I'm also very confident that David Laguan, Martin Erat, they're going to have their best years of their NHL careers. I know it's their time. They started off this, last year a little slow, like our team did. I know this year, getting out of the gates, that they're going to be top players. Joel Ward, again, is going to be very versatile. Whether he plays with them or someone else, I'm not sure, but I think Joel will be a big contributor for our hockey club. And as I said earlier, we've got a lot of these younger forwards. It's their time to jump in, to fit in, to make a contribution. On the wings, it's like Hornquist and Jones and maybe Nick Spaulding. At center, it could be Colin Wilson, it could be Cal O'Reilly, Sandarelli. We got a lot of these young guys, and I think with the veterans that we have, this is going to be a good complement to our team. We've also got what I'd call the role players, aggressive players with Belak and Tutu and Smith and all that type of thing. I think we got that covered off. So I like where we're going. We've made a couple of signings that, again, don't get a lot of headlines, but again, I point to our scouting. We just signed a player the other day by the name of Ben Eves. He's a player, is a brother of Patrick Eves that plays for Carolina, the son of Mike Hughes, who's the coach of Wisconsin University. He's been a really good player, but he's had a lot of injuries. The second half of last year, he played over in Finland and was the best player in Finland and broke all the records of scoring in Finland in the off season. So maybe he could be this year's Joel Ward. We signed a couple other guys like Peter Olvetke. He's a player that played in Minnesota, played a few games up and down, but it looks like to us he's a player like Joel Ward, just on the cusp. So it's this type of competition and depth that we're trying to bring into our organization to give us a chance. We made a small trade midway through last year for a player by the name of Hugh Jessamine. He was a first-round pick of the New York Rangers. He's 6'6", 240 pounds. He hasn't quite had it all together. Could this be his time? It'd be nice to add a little bit of size like that to our lineup. So for me, hope springs eternal. I know I know that the chain of the younger players is well intact. It's coming, and with the veterans like JP and Sully beside me, along with Arnie, I think we're going to be in good shape. So I'm looking forward for the best year ever here in 09-10. Thank you very much.
Who was out in the concourse? Masterton Trophy winner Steve Sullivan.
Thank you. Where do I begin? I'm just so glad to be back. Honestly, it's. I want to thank Mr. Freeman and Mr. Poile for bringing me back. There's nowhere else I wanted to go. I mean, everyone's joking around about the house not for sale, but honestly, it was never for sale. We didn't want to go anywhere, and I think that it was just a matter of finding the right things out, finding out where we stood, and coming back. And my family, we love it here in Tennessee, and we want to stay here for a long time, even after my hockey career. So, thank you. But that's all in the past, and we've got to look into the future. And I think that as players prepare for the next season, we're excited about this. We're excited about the fact that our core of our hockey team are probably between the ages of 23 and 28, and that between that time, you keep getting better every season. You haven't peaked yet. You haven't been your best player. So the players that you're looking at, the Marty Erats, the Legwans, the Webbers, the Suitors, the Ham Hugheses, the Pekka-Rennies, you keep going and going. They haven't seen their best yet. And that's why our hockey team is going to be better next year. It might not look like we've made a lot of changes to our hockey team, but those players coming back next year, they're going to be better hockey players. And that's how our hockey team is going to be better. They're going to be more prepared every single night. Their bad games won't be as bad. They'll have a lot more, or better hockey games on more nights. And I think that just that being said, and I think us having a healthy hockey club for 80 games is the reason why we get back into playoffs. And that's the reason, and that's the first goal. We have to get back in. You look at the 16 teams that got in this year. I mean, flip a coin once you're in. You know, Pittsburgh Penguins were on the cusp of getting knocked out. Washington almost lost to the New York Rangers, but then they came back. They had Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh came back. So you never know. It's just to get to the dance, and once you're there, you know you can make the best of it from there. So we're really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to be back and playing 41 games in this building, because it is the best place to play. You fans make it the best place to play. So, looking forward to seeing a full building on most nights here in Nashville, and by doing so, it pumps us up. Those TV timeouts when you guys all stand up and give us an ovation. I mean, not one guy on the bench doesn't have goosebumps. Not one guy's not looking at Coach Trotz or Coach Petey begging to be out there for the next shift and give their best. So thank you very much for that, and we hope we get continued support from all of you. Thank you.